Venezuela is currently facing one of its most devastating humanitarian crises yet. Thousands of people are on the streets rioting. 82% of its citizens are living in poverty, and millions of people have fled the country. But how did it start? And is there an end in sight? To understand how the situation in Venezuela came to be, you have to understand its geography and its history. Venezuela, located in South America, is home to 31.98 million people. In the 1920s, Venezuela had discovered on its ground a huge supply of oil reserve, totaling 297 million barrels, which is the highest amount that any nation has. The supply of oil would help develop Venezuela's economy greatly, and by the 1960s, Venezuela was recognized as a fairly wealthy nation in South America. In 1998, Venezuela elected Hugo Chavez. His party was the United Socialist Parties of Venezuela. Being a socialist, Hugo promised to redistribute the country's oil wealth to the citizens of Venezuela. During his time in office from February 2nd, 1999 to March 5th, 2013, he implemented many social programs to Venezuela. He implemented taxes on the rich, he subsidized food, and increased fundings on education and healthcare. During his time as president, he cut unemployment rate and poverty rate by 50%. And he was popular with the people. He was able to fund his social programs because during his presidencies, oil prices had increased. He also borrowed money from many other countries. Hugo continued his plans of high government spending and continued his reliance on Venezuela's oil reserve. When Hugo died in 2013 from cancer, his successor was chosen to be Nicolas Maduro. On the same year that Maduro was chosen to be president, the oil prices plummeted. The reduction in oil prices led to the downward economic trend of Venezuela. Venezuela also had to pay back its debt from when Hugo was borrowing money for his social programs. Venezuela was now unable to pay for its expensive social programs and unable to pay for its debts. And being unable to pay for its social programs, Venezuela printed out excessive amounts of bolivars, which are the Venezuela currency, in order to pay off their debts. However, this caused hyperinflation of the bolivar and it soon became worthless. The economy of Venezuela plummeted. While the president continued to help his friends in the government, he did nothing to stop the economy from failing. As Maduro seized more power in the government, the people in Venezuela were left hungry and sick as their quality of life had decreased dramatically. 85% of people in Venezuela are unable to afford or find drugs. 82% of its citizens are in poverty. The inflation rate of the bolivar is over 1,000,000%, and it doesn't seem to be looking any better, as even their exporting rate of crude oil has decreased because the nation can't even afford the most basic equipment to keep the operations running. This has led to massive riots across the countries. These riots are faced with harsh government crackdown, which has led to over 280 people dying from the conflict, and as the riots increases, so does the government retaliation. This has led to millions of people fleeing Venezuela in hopes for a better life. As Maduro continues to bolster his power, and as the riots continue to intensify, it doesn't look like there is an end in sight.